Sure, everyone has heard of Batman, but have you ever heard of Evil Batman? Yes, think of any single superhero in DC or Marvel, and there's a bloody good chance that they have some kind of evil clone, alternate universe self, or other doppelganger lurking in the woodwork. Although often an overused trope, it is undeniable that seeing a hero beat the ever-living snot out of their exact double is always a satisfying prospect. However, that is not to say that every comic that features a superhero fighting themselves is beloved or even slightly decent, but they still deserve recognition for using a classic staple of comics in new and innovative ways, or giving us a fight scene that's cool enough that we don't mind if the comic sucks or not. So with that in mind, I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 10 times superheroes defeated themselves. Number 10, Captain America fights Hydra Captain America, Secret Empire. Few events have garnered such a powerful reaction as the reveal that Captain America had been altered to instead be a covert member of the evil Nazi Hydra organization. As such, when it was revealed that the real Captain America still existed, fans went berserk with joy, having more or less slandered Marvel for months about the questionable decision to make their WW2 icon a secret neo-Nazi. As though making up for this, the fight the pair have at the end of Secret Empire is perhaps one of the most satisfying battles the House of Imagination served up in a while, the highlight of which involves the legit Captain America launching his doppelganger into the sky with the Hammer of Thor, asserting for once and for all that this Cap is the worthy one, as the other version of himself is unable to lift Mjolnir when he tries. Epic. Number 9, Batman and Superman fight Owlman and Ultraman, Superman Batman Annual 1. Providing 2 for the price of 1, 2006's Superman Batman Annual brought us the sweet, sweet joy that was seeing DC's biggest superheroes fight their evil doppelgangers. Given that Batman and Owlman don't get a chance to fight in any of their other encounters, this comic is an undeniable delight, combining both a badass battle and some good comedy to create something that feels genuinely special. After beating Owlman down and using Ultraman to save a ship of innocent civilians, which he appears horrified at, the villainous pair are sent back to their universe, leaving Batman and Superman to hide their secret identities from Lois Lane and the rest of the saved ship in relative peace. Number 8, Tony Stark fights the Iron Man suit, Iron Man Volume 330. The one downside of being a superhero due to your rad, sometimes sentient battle armor is that sometimes said sentience will turn around and bite you in the ass. Perhaps the most notorious of these times comes in the storyline named The Man in the Iron Man, which covers Tony's suit developing a strange and unhealthy relationship with its wearer, kidnapping him in order to try and make the unfortunate Stark heir fall in love with it. Naturally, Tony isn't enamored by the idea of being held captive by his own suit of armor, and thus builds a trap to take down his own creation. While it works, it also gives him a heart attack, which is only abated when the machine rips its own power source out to make sure its beloved creator stays alive. Needless to say, the whole thing taught Tony a solid lesson about being careful with his AI units, or not being so charming that your robot suit falls in love with you. Number 7, Cyborg fights Grid, various comics. Anyone who has made their way through the New 52 Justice League series is aware of one particularly traumatizing moment, an AI cyborg design that turned evil using its abilities to control Cyborg's robotic parts, using this power to brutally rip them from Victor's flesh. Although undeniably mentally scarring, it sets up for a great rivalry between the pair, as Vic takes the small matter of someone stealing his body pretty personally, setting out to stop the robots the minute he's all fixed up. Prepped with a new shiny body, Cyborg hunts the AI down wearing his old form, arriving in Forever Evil 7 carrying Grid's beat up and deactivated metal parts, having apparently given the robot a taste of the suffering it puts Cyborg through. Number 6, Cable fights STRYFE, various comics. As Cable's evil clone, STRYFE has had a fair few fights with his kind of brother over the years, starting when the pair were just 8 years old and continuing for many years after. Prior to the recent reboot, STRYFE has thus managed to kill Cable twice, once in Deadpool Volume 436 and once in Extermination Number 1, where he takes the quick and easy route of simply shooting him in the head. This isn't to suggest that the Cyborg's clone is the one who's ever had the upper hand, however, as Cable has defeated him several times in their sordid history. With the new House of X and Powers of X series essentially rebooting the universe, however, it's likely that this whole rivalry can again begin anew. Number 5, Superboy fights fights Superboy Prime, Infinite Crisis. Superboy Prime, for all his faults, is put into a pretty difficult situation at the start of Infinite Crisis. He's trapped in a universe that's not his own, unable to ever go back to the people he cares about and who love him, and aware the whole time that he will never be considered the real Superboy of the universe he inhabits, because there already is one in the form of Connor Kent. This causes tension between the two superpowered boys, culminating in Superboy Prime going off the deep end and trying to kill Connor, accidentally actually killing some Teen Titans along the way, which begins his descent to complete villainy. While Connor would die in the pair's final fray, he would do so by flying himself and Superboy Prime into the anti-monitor tower the villain had made, wiping out the source of his seeming invulnerability and saving the world at the same time, which counts as a pretty big victory, even if it took other heroes to finally beat down Superboy Prime. Number 4. Deadpool fights himself. Deadpool kills Deadpool, number 4. What happens when you place two undying murder machines against one another in a no-holds-barred bout to the death? Well, you get a pretty decent comic at minimum, as Deadpool Kills Deadpool covers this exact situation, with our semi-heroic Deadpool fighting Dreadpool, who may be recognizable to long-term Pool fans as the main character in the Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe series. As such, there is a whole lot of Deadpool-based death in the comic, with the first issue alone containing the deaths of 2 Deadpools and 1 Dogpool just for starters. After cutting through a mountain of mercenary murderers, the series culminates in our universe's Deadpool taking on Dreadpool, beating his evil counterpart first in an argument, then cutting his head off and covering him in acid to completely dissolve him, making sure that this is one fight that can't happen again. Number 3. Batman fights the Batman who laughs. The Batman who laughs. Ask any Batman fan who the most important recent addition to the series is, and 9 out of 10 will say none other than the Batman who laughs, an evil version of Batman made when the Dark Knight was exposed to the mind-changing toxin the Joker releases upon death. After a series that basically involves Batman getting mutilated by his evil doppelganger every other issue, the finale closes in the Dark Knight getting a well-deserved bat beat down on his chuckling brethren. Luring the Batman who laughs to the graveyard his parents are buried in, Bruce first gets Alfred to shoot the villain as a distraction, then launches several depleted Uranian harpoons into him before electrifying them to finish off the fighting combo. The fight is closed by Batman picking up the headstone of his beloved mother and using it to pulverize his opponent, in what is, without a doubt, the most accidentally hilarious fight to have ever taken place in a Batman comic. Number 2. Squirrel Girl fights herself. The unbeatable Squirrel Girl fights the Marvel Universe. The unbeatable Squirrel Girl fights the Marvel Universe kicks off in a style that only the mammal-based hero could pull off, with her cloning herself to get assistance in a fight, only for the scene to then cut to her immediately duking it out with her new clone. As the rest of the comic reveals, the pair initially worked in perfect sync, right until they saw a squirrel who'd been hit by a car, which drove the clone berserk. Believing that squirrels were better than humans, understandably, this clone, going under the name of Aileen, creates a plan wherein squirrels would take over the world, largely because she had existed at this point for 4 hours and didn't know that squirrels were also capable of being huge assholes. Powered by squirrel-based rage, Aileen wreaks havoc on the Marvel Universe, beating up heroes to the left, to the right, and anywhere else they can be found, until our own Squirrel Girl put her down with the help of endless superheroes and one very useful squirrel. Number 1. The Hulk fights Maestro. Incredible Hulk Future Imperfect. Fighting your future evil self is never an easy job, which is why it's one given to none other than the Hulk, who discovers that 100 years in the future, he becomes an evil overlord of the Earth. When the Hulk is sent into this future, the pair naturally are at odds with one another, with Maestro beating his younger self due to his extra years of fighting experience and his ability to predict all of the Hulk's moves. This isn't where their conflict ends though, as, after being beat to a fine green pulp once again, the Hulk uses the time machine that brought him to Maestro to send the villain back to the site where the Hulk was created, placing him seconds before the gamma bomb went off. While it would later be revealed that Maestro was significantly less dead than it appeared, having survived the explosion and slowly healed together by the gamma radiation of the site, this encounter still marks a decisive victory for the Hulk. And there you have it folks, 10 times superheroes defeated themselves. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at @USlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.